Hey everybody, welcome back to Madness Cafe. Our guest today is Melissa Tears. And let me tell you guys about Melissa. She is a multi-award winning author, speaker, and hypnosis trainer. She is the founder of the Center for Integrative Hypnosis and the Ethical Coaching Collective with an international private practice. Melissa, we're so excited to talk to you. Welcome to Madness Cafe.
Thank you. This is going to be fun. I got to say, when you invited me to come on and you said, we want to have you on and we want you to talk about decentering men, I was just like, oh, that sounds like an interesting topic, and the other day.
Hi everyone, this is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect. Hey everybody, welcome back to Madness Cafe. Our guest today is Melissa Tears. And let me tell you guys about Melissa. She is a multi-award winning author, speaker, and hypnosis trainer. She is the founder of the Center for Integrative Hypnosis and the Ethical Coaching Collective with an international private practice. Melissa, we're so excited to talk to you. Welcome to Madness Cafe.
Thank you. This is going to be fun. I got to say, when you invited me to come on and you said, we want to have you on and we want you to talk about decentering men, I was just like, oh, that sounds like an interesting topic, and the other day I was walking, I'm here in Mexico. So yeah, forgive the background and the lack of haircut. And I was like, why did they pick me for that? Like normally I'm on, podcasts a lot and it's typically about hypnosis or coaching the unconscious mind or practical neuroscience, or where the intersection of like politics and hypnosis comes in.
We do want to know about that.
Oh yeah, I totally want to know about that.
But I was kind of like, decentering men. Like what do I have to say about that? And as I was walking on the beach, I was like, oh yeah. I'm like,
and
I am an expert in this fucking shit.
Well, let me tell you how this all came about.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about your business and your hypnosis and all the things that you're an expert in. We had no idea. Saw you on Instagram, and there was one particular post that came up, and you were talking about, I think it started out, you said 13 and 14-year-olds are not sexy, and if you think they are, you have a fucking problem. That's how it started. So, of course, I was hooked. And then you go on to talk about how patriarchy is so embedded in our culture. And then you ask the question, what if you stop centering men? You ask that right in the middle of that very important topic. You said, what if we fought the war against women? What if we fought in it? What if we talked about constant priming of young women about what they're supposed to look like? And I was like, yes, we've got to talk about this. Yes.
I toggle from like just pure rage, daily rage. And then like, oh, I have to like help somebody. I just taught a workshop where I'm like supervising. It's an I'm supervising students. And so I'm trying to be helpful, and then I click off, and then if give me 2 minutes and I'm back to like, what is happening in this world?
It takes 2 whole minutes. Come on.
Well,
it does not take 2 minutes.
Typically I don't immediately pick up the phone. The funny thing is, I've been doing my work as a hypnotist and in the mind field for like 30 years at this point. For that, I was a punk rock musician. And one of the things...
we didn't even know this.
I know, that's so awesome.
But in other words, I always had an outlet for my rage and my politics. I used to do punk rock the vote. I used to sign, register kids to vote and then tell them who to vote for. But to not have that outlet in today's times seems a real detriment to my mental health. And so I got on Instagram because I was forced on Instagram, because I never really did too much social media. I had Facebook, but I never really paid attention to it too much. And I was kind of forced on it for my business. Yeah. Because I was working with someone I had never, 30 years, it was just word of mouth. But it started to morph into my like lame ass excuse for a punk rock band. Like, these are the songs I'd be writing. I would be writing about the war on women. I would be, as a matter of fact, I did. Somebody pointed out, hey, I was listening to an old Felonious Punk CD, and every single topic is the same shit you're still talking about. And I'm like, doesn't that suck?
It does suck.
It does.
That we're still talking about it.
We're still talking about it. I did another video today on like just women need to fucking seriously pay attention because we need something to happen here. Tennessee just wants like to have the death penalty for women that have an abortion. Did you hear about that? They're proposing that right now. And that women are being arrested and charged with murder for having a miscarriage. And that's why I keep doing it, because we're bombarded every day, right? It is psychological warfare. We're bombarded every freaking day. And so it's hard to keep track of all of the pieces. So I keep going, okay, so we can't get birth control. We can't do this. We can't. They're trying to stop us from voting. They're trying to stop us from this. They're trying to stop us from, we can't do this and we can't do this. And now we can't get a loan. We can't get an education. Like, it's not coming. It's here.
It is here.
Yeah. Can't get a divorce.
Right. No fault divorce. So I went through this, and then I said something that maybe, whatever.
Tell us. What did you say?
I said something like, it's time we played the cards we're holding, ladies. Like, we hold all the fucking cards.
Yes.
And I
said,
we can end civilization in less than a generation.
Yep.
We can end civilization in a fucking generation. Yep. And so I said, look up the 4B movement in South Korea, and look what happens when even the smallest percentage of women say no. Check out what happened to their birth rate. So I said, you got to understand these cards are powerful. And if we play it, I said, look, I'm not telling you to end civilization. I don't want that either, but know that we can.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to know the power that we have.
You need to own the power here. Because seriously, if women, I said, if women globally got together and just decided to say no, no to sex with men, no to birth, no to, right? It would end. Seriously, in 6 months' time, we would have labor shortage. We would have seriously. I'm 6 months. I mean, 6 months would have an impact, just not like that. But they say in about 70 to 100 years, that's it, man.
Yeah.
Civilization as we know it is over. And so I said, if women globally, we could do that. If just the U.S. If women just decided, look, you're pushing us too far and we've got no alternative here. And so, we are boycotting.
Well, I mean, look at Lysistrata, the Greek myth.
Right, exactly.
Where all the women were like, we're sick of all these wars and shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, we know how to stop this. We're cutting you off.
That's
no
right.
sex for y'all till you stop having wars. And
with the 4G movement, it's no dating men, no marrying men, right? I would say no caretaking and catering to men. And then now, it's an extreme stance. And I know I was already imagining as soon as I posted it, like some of the pushback, right? Like, oh yeah, well, how old are you? It's not going to matter so much. You're not the one. But the truth is, we need something to give. And you know what? I am not the one that's being affected by not being able to have a fucking abortion right now or birth control. I don't need it. I'm thinking of y'all. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm thinking of womankind right now. And so this is the thing. And so even though that is extreme, I'm actually thinking it's not so extreme. Is it extreme as this country being run by an international fucking
Pedophile ring?
Exactly. They want to lock up women that have miscarriages on their worst fucking day. They're getting arrested. And yet no one in the US, no man in the US has yet been arrested.
Yep.
Guys.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, we're supposed to be talking about decentering men.
That's it. That's it. You are spot on.
It is an extreme, but I think
extreme.
The video that you were talking about was really, that was actually before we knew just how young a lot of those children were. So when I said 14, that was because I got so mad. It was like all these apologists, fucking Megan, fuck you, Megyn Kelly.
Yeah, and Megyn Kelly apparently has a 14-year-old daughter. She definitely has some internalized misogyny and patriarchy and all this shit.
But
she thinks her proximity to that shit is going to protect her child. No, it won't.
No, it won't. No, it won't, because her proximity to that shit makes her child even more of a fucking target because she's swimming in certain circles.
Yep.
But anyway, but the reason when I said that, and the whole thing was, I have gotten, and I've done a few videos on this because, god damn, MAGA, they come after me. Oh my God, like seriously, and it's always the same stupid shit. Right? Like they can't argue policy. They
don't have any.
They can't defend any of the positions. They don't even know the positions, because we're talking about people that it is their very self-identity, and they don't look further than he hates the same people I hate and he's going to make you hurt. And that's what they're getting off on at this point. But when we can look at this a little bit deeper. But anyway, I was getting so much hate that I was like, and it's always related to how I look, that I should shut up. They all say, shut up, you old hag. Go feed your cats. Go water your plants. Shut up. And it's like this constant thing, like what was it? Oh my God, my favorite one. Sometimes you're like, oh God, they're so, like, they're not even original. And my sister's like, they're all bots. And then I'm like, shut up, geriatric Karen. I went, ooh, fuck you, geriatric Karen. I was like, that one actually hit me.
Did it?
Well, no. I mean, not really, really, but at least it made me pause.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are they so angry? Right? And we know why they're angry. And at first I thought, oh, it's because I'm no longer in the realm of fuckable, I'm like this older woman. I have the audacity to speak my mind, to not like put on the makeup and dress up and do my hair and get on here. Right. So that must be it. But the more and more that I heard from other women, they're like, no.
Yeah. Because they're saying that to everybody.
They're saying it to everybody. They're just picking on that one thing. But that's when I started to really start to educate women on just how priming and conditioning works, right? Because they don't quite understand. Well, certainly men don't understand, right? When we say fuck the patriarchy, when we say things like that, they immediately get defensive, thinking that we're saying, fuck you to them, like fuck men, like men, like, you're just man hating. Like, no, I'm not. I have a brother I love. There's a lot of men I love. Well, fuck you. That's not it. I hate the structure, the system. Don't you get it? So after a while,
plus they think that if women are in charge, we're going to do exactly what they did. Yes. They think we're just going to be versions of them and treat people the way that they have, which isn't true.
Outside of themselves. They don't have, right, a adaptable, curated brain. Seriously. I mean, let's talk for a minute about what I mean by that, right?
Yeah, I think you just made Jennifer very happy saying it. I think she's just like,
what do you think? Like,
well, because to that complaint that you had of men who find 13-year-old and 14-year-old
Or
attractive.
8 and 9 or 7 or
Mhm.
6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just biology. It's my biology. I was a caveman once, and so that's the only way I can think.
They're stupid.
I don't.
No.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
You know, here's all of
I'm
those
biologically wired to like
all
children.
of the videos with the women and their dogs. Did you see those videos where they're like holding a treat and the dog just sits there salivating and won't take the treat?
Yeah.
This is a new trend now to show you that even dogs
Mm-hmm.
can restrain themselves, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
This is why we choose the bear.
This is always why we choose the bear. Give me the bear 100 times over.
Even men will choose the bear if it's their daughter or wife. They'll choose the bear rather than another man because they know.
Because they know.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit, right? Just about, because so much of this is me trying to understand, right? Understand. I understood it the first time. I understood why people would vote for the wild card the first time. Even though as New Yorkers, we knew who the fuck this piece of shit was.
Yeah.
We always did.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not saying I could forgive them. I'm saying I could kind of understand it a little bit.
Okay.
Well, we came up with
At
a lot
this
of
point?
excuses for it at the time.
I mean, I didn't, because I was very angry
Me too.
and trying to wake people up.
Yeah.
At this point, though, if you still support this, if you still are a Trump supporter,
Mm-hmm.
then you are not only disabled in the brain. Seriously, something's wrong. You're a pedophile.
It seems that is
That's
the
it.
truth.
That's all I can imagine. In efforts to understand, I started to look at, what are the differences, right? So there was these old studies on the differences between the conservative and the liberal brain. Do you know about these?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Where
I've heard some of it. Yeah.
Actually see the denser areas in the brain. So what gets used more? What people don't understand is they're not born that way. Your brain takes the shape of how you use it.
Yeah.
Right. That is neuroplasticity. That is how our brains take our very individual shapes, right? Based on use, right? So like the London cab drivers that have to actually know the streets and study for a year, the part of their brain that's in charge of spatial, navigation is thicker and denser, right?
Mm-hmm.
A violin player, the hand that does this is thicker and denser from use. So when you look at the brain of a conservative, you see certain things, right? They lead through the right amygdala, so there's a lot of fear. They filter the world through the fear. It's thicker and denser. There's a lot less activity and connectivity in the prefrontal cortex, the thinking, the command center. Yeah. There's there's a bunch of little differences, but what they don't get as much
the empathy centers.
Yeah, what they don't get as much activity is where the liberal brain has a lot more density for the parts of the brain that are looking for error detection and correction, adaptability, and awareness and an ability and adaptability to change, which is vital, right?
Yeah.
Which is why it is an evolutionary thing. We need adaptability to change, right? So anyway, but more importantly is the psychological framework that they're operating out of. So if you know the work of like George Lakoff, have you ever heard of him?
I have not.
Fucking brilliant. I mean, I could go on and on about his work, but as it relates to this, he talks about the two big differences in our psychological framework. So the conservative brain is under the strict father authoritative frame.
Yep.
Patriarchy.
And they need to be like told what to do. They're the ones that lean a little bit more towards the fundamentalism. They want to, they want their, because nuance thinking, that's more the left, right? So nuance is it takes up too much effort for the conservative brain. It's just, black and white. My in group is very small, and then everything else is the out group. There's other things, whereas the liberal is like the maternal nurturant, and their in group and out group is very different, right? Because their in group is like humanity.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
The planet, right? And so, we have these major differences. What happens with MAGA is because they are running unconsciously on this strict father figure, right? That's why they always veer towards authoritarianism, fascism, because they feel safer unconsciously.
Yeah.
But consciously, they believe they are the opposite. Consciously, it's about freedom. Don't tread on me. Rah, sorry. Sounding like a bear. But anyway, and so the conscious mind is in direct opposition to the unconscious mind. And what you get when you have those two things in conflict is cognitive dissonance. Now, that cognitive dissonance starts to create friction. So their job is to quell it. Their job, right, is to try and create an environment where competing theories or other data, information, things like facts, if they get in to that narrow bandwidth, that they have narrowed their focus of what they will allow in, because they're trying to get rid of any uncertainty, because that creates that cognitive dissonance. And when you push, that cognitive dissonance comes out as anger.
Yeah.
Right. That's an outlet for it. So when you have someone who is essentially at war with themselves, and their guy is in the White House, right? And they have invested so much of their very identity. As I said, it's not about policy with them. It's not about politics. It's not about politics. Fucking Trump knows nothing about how the government is run. He knows nothing
Not
about
a damn thing.
Really. But don't. When you have that, and he's amplifying all of your base level tendencies.
Yep.
Right? But what happens is, once you've had to defend yourself against all them, all them woke people, right? And probably their family members.
Yeah.
And probably their children.
Yeah.
They've had to defend their position as a Trump supporter. And each defense of identity creates a harder and harder to crack armor.
Yeah.
But that armor is fragile. Which is why they're so quick to, snap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is why 90% of the fucking political violence is from that side. They're quicker to snap.
Yeah.
Because they also don't have the flexibility and adaptability in their fucking brains.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Decentering men. The first is just try and understand them.
Yeah.
Okay? Try and understand how this system that we live in affects all of us, because it's the water we swim in our entire lives. So I don't know. For me, because I'm a hypnotist, because I deal with the unconscious mind, I think it might be useful to talk about, decentering men from that perspective. Simply because there's a trend right now with people talking about decentering, right? And they're talking about how, what it means. And it means to not give away your power, not to make the man the center of your universe. So all of these people are talking about self-empowerment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to not forsake yourself, your needs, your wants, your dreams, your career for men. And that's all well and good. And we need all that. But for me, when I work with people, because I work with a lot of women, we use hypnosis, because hypnosis is kind of a top-down strategy in the brain. And what happens is people go into a state where they have where the region that is very self-conscious, the default mode network, gets less activity. So the error detection conflict part gets a little less activity. And what you have is you have more of an openness to suggestion, as well as, a more reflective access to your memories, to your deeper meanings. If you think about this, 95% of your cognitive processing is outside of your conscious awareness.
Wow.
I need you to really hear that.
Yeah.
95% of your cognitive processing. Another way to think of it is we are being bombarded by millions of bits of information, externally, internally, in any given moment. And yet we can consciously, research indicates, we can consciously be aware of about 40. So much of this goes directly into your unconscious system, and you have no fucking idea.
Right.
So that's why I chose this modality, right? Because it gives me more direct access to guide people into a state where they have more access to more information that they have always had, just never had conscious access to. It's more internal and reflective, right? Without being self-critical and self-judging.
Ooh,
It
that's
sounds like
huge.
it sounds like holotropic breath work, and it
Yep.
sounds like psychedelic work.
Psychedelics, yep.
So I created a course called Hypnopsychedelics.
Ah.
And I spent, goddamn, about a decade at this point, using hypnosis to model, right? To go inside people's psychedelic trips.
So cool.
So that I can reverse engineer it for people that have never
Wow.
done psychedelics. And I'm looking for the commonalities, right? What makes a psychedelic trip transformational?
Yeah.
Now, as someone who has done my fair share of psychedelics. I mean, my first trip, I think, was, I was 12, 13. So I was
wow.
I was that kid. But
Yeah.
Cool.
the times were different then, weren't they?
Well, yeah. Plus,
Okay.
that kind of plays into the punk rock nature of things.
I don't know.
Well.
I think I was 55 when I did my first one, so we did not have the same. We did not have the same childhood.
Yeah, we didn't have the same childhood. No.
We did. But so I got very curious as to how we can do this without the drugs, because in order for a drug, right, to actually have an effect, it means that we must have a receptor that it can bind to. If we have a receptor it can bind to, then there must be some elements inside of us that we can generate for that. So I spent a decade creating this, and I'm still always creating it, right? Because I'm going with different psychedelics and different experiences and looking for the common threads, and how can I then, take people into a state of hypnosis that mirrors and mimics the psychedelic benefits, the experience.
That sounds so cool.
It really does.
The oceanic boundlessness that they describe.
That sounds like Stan Groff and holotropic breathwork talking about BPM-1.
BPM-1.
He talks about all of the stages of birth process.
Oh,
and that oceanic is.
Yeah. I took a workshop with him.
Yeah.
Actually,
did you?
More like 2 lectures, because I couldn't do his workshop. I'll confess right now. When I do hypnopsychedelics, I can do what I do with some of that breath work, slight variations to what Groff does, because I'm targeting different
so cool.
states.
Yeah.
I can't do that for more than 5 minutes. Like, I don't like it. It's too much. My hands go numb. Things start to happen.
People do that.
I start to fear for my fucking brain. And I start to be like, this isn't good. I'm denying my brain of oxygen. Like, I start to panic because my brain is my living. Like, I can't fuck with it too much anymore. So I don't really take psychedelics, hence the hypnosis. But anyway, I forget where we were in the decentering aspect. Oh, priming, right. So I'm talking about how much we are unaware that is getting in there on a daily basis. So let's talk about how we're being primed every fucking moment of every fucking day from everything around us. Did you ever hear of a book called like Drunk Tank Pink? Did you ever hear that book?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So it's named after this color pink. What they found was when they put violent drunks and people, that were violent in a holding cell that was pink, that it act like a sedative. So for a while, all of these like mental institutions would have a pink room, prisons would have like a pink room. Anyway, but I bring that up because we are being influenced by the colors on the walls, by what is in our environment, by the chair you're sitting in. If you're sitting on a hard chair, it's harder to change your mind. If you have a soft, cushy chair, you're more malleable.
Ooh, I'm going to put all my friends in soft, cushy chairs.
That's right. So the smells in the room. They know that certain smells make women buy more, and others, very different smells, make men buy more. So they pump them, in the different men's section, women's section. But if you smell like lemony fresh, like I used to make sure to clean, right? With like, so you can slightly smell, or not even slightly smell, the lemony freshness, because not only has research indicated that you will clean up after yourself, right? But you will act more honestly.
Because of lemon?
Because cleanliness is next to what?
Godliness.
Yeah. Now,
even those of us who are not religious know that phrase.
you don't think that got in there? Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, so all of these primes, and these are all based on studies that they've done. What I would also do in my center is I would always have a wide variety of different types of coffee. I had an espresso machine, I had a regular coffee, I had all different types of tea, and I would encourage everyone to grab, a coffee or a tea. And then when they were sitting there, I would talk about priming, and I would tell them that research indicates, because you're holding a warm cup of coffee or tea, that you would rate me as being a warmer individual.
Interesting, but that makes sense.
It really does.
And you know why it makes sense? Because we develop from early sensory experience on. In other words, our brain, that's like the scaffolding. Our early sensory experience stays with us. So when we are born, everything good is warm. It's being held, it's being nurtured, it's having a dry diaper. We immediately make a connection. Warm is good. And that stays with us through life, because it goes from sensory experience and we abstract it out so that now we can say, I'm warming up to you guys. Right? What a warm individual. Oh, it warms my heart. Yep. And just like we can say, what a cold fucking bitch.
Yep.
Right? Don't give me the cold shoulder. Don't leave me out in the cold. So you have to understand, these are deep primes, and yet we're being primed every moment of every day. Everywhere around us. If you want someone to take your survey seriously, then make sure to put it on a heavy clipboard, because it lends weight.
Yeah, I noticed that.
The topic. Yep. So you have to understand how these things, this mind-body thing, this, it's called embodied cognition, right? Anyway, I could go on and on about this stuff, but it's just to show you that we don't get out of anywhere without being influenced by our environment.
Sure.
By the constant messaging, the water we swim in.
Yeah.
So we are all primed. Now, I teach this, I study this. I have spent most of my life with men decentered. Simply because that's, I was one of those teens, very boy crazy. It was very blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I will say that what it took to really change that was I had a kid. Fortunately, my center shifted to the point where I was joking, I took, who's my ex-husband now, I took my husband at the time to a conference in Zurich. I was doing a conference. I teach at conferences all over. And this was the only time I took him after like 20 years of teaching at conferences. And so many of my colleagues were like, we thought your husband was like a figment of your imagination. Like, we thought you didn't really have a husband. Like, you wore that wedding ring just so no one would hit on you, because we knew you had zero tolerance for that shit. And they were like, and I just started laughing, like, that's how decentered my husband was. But more importantly, I reached a point where I just don't give a shit what people think about me. And that's not actually true. Because as I say it, I'm like, call bullshit on myself. There's certain aspects I don't give a shit about, right? I'm not going to wear makeup, and I'm not going to, like dress up for people, because that's not something I care about. But I do care about what people think of me. If they think maybe I've been unkind, or maybe they challenge something that means something to me in my work. And to be honest, even with my looks, like there was a moment where I'm teaching and I have this like short window where I have to do this podcast. I'm like, oh no, the background is like, oh, like what is this behind me? And oh, damn. And then I looked in the window, the screen, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I need a haircut. I've been in Mexico for 3 months. So what is that? What is that, ladies? Who do I fucking need a haircut for?
Not for me.
Yeah, no, not for me.
But me, someone who you would think really wouldn't care, I had that moment. But think about priming, because guess what? That's not about men.
That's true.
I wanted to look a little bit more presentable because women.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth there.
Because we judge. We can't help it. We don't even know we're doing it. But I can tell you all the research on a well put together woman commands respect. When I used to teach at conferences, I don't anymore because I don't really give a shit. But when I was building my career, I always had like these like platform shoes, not heels. They were like sneakers with a platform, right?
I do that.
Right. Because when you have to look up to someone, remember what I said about priming. Research indicates that if you look up to someone, it automatically affords a little bit more respect. That if you have to do this, everyone, you feel smaller. So when I'm working with people and they've got problems with authority, the first thing I do is I start to lower in their own internal representation, in their own mind, where they are putting that authority figure, because they will always be up here, even in their mind's eye.
Wow.
Because again, when you are little, where is authority? It's always up. So we naturally place people that we respect there, or that we put up there. Part of it is not just height, not just being put together, right? So there's a few things I could have done if we're talking about priming and this podcast and my fleeting moment of, holy shit, I need a haircut, And of course, I'm in Mexico. I live in T-shirts. So all of my videos on Instagram, I'm like interchanging the same fucking political T-shirts. And that's priming too. When I walk around in a political T-shirt, I'm pretty much telling my people, you're safe. I walk around in a Resist T-shirt here in Mexico. They know I'm one of the good guys. You know what I mean? Like, I also cheat and walk around in a Canada hat because I'm not fucking stupid. Anyway. But so what could I have done, right? I could have given you a much longer version of a bio.
True.
Because you would have read the bio, you would have said she won this award for this book, this award for this other book, this award for this other book, she's done this, she's been the keynote here, and she's won this award and this award and this award. And that would have front loaded and framed everyone's opinion. So when I show up like I have in my I Dissent t-shirt with looking like this, people have already given me grace because you've primed them. So now when they see a t-shirt, I'm kind of cool because they were expecting something else to go along with that bio.
Right.
So I could have done that. I mean, I didn't, but I can't stand sitting here while people are reading a bio. Just like I never have people introduce me when I'm doing a keynote or whatever. I'm like, because I'm just standing here and you're saying all this shit, like you're saying this stuff, and how am I supposed to like react to that? And then how am I supposed to live up to that on some level?
But you did all those things. Live up to your own success.
I don't mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like thinking that I'm not worthy of that. I'm just saying there's this moment where it's like, and I stepped on stage once in Brazil. I was lecturing, and they had made this cartoon version of me, and I actually use it as my. You saw it when I logged on,
Mhm.
and it's like a Kill Bill poster. But this artist had made this, integrative hypnosis, and it looked really cool. I was in a leather jacket and combat boots and jeans. You know what I mean?
Oh, I did see that.
But I walked into this room, and there's two of them. Huge. They're huge banners. They're flanking the stage. And I show up in my comfort fucking shoes, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, how am I, like, come on, man. Anyway, priming gone wrong, but whatever. So let's talk about how we've internalized this stuff. It's funny because I just thought of this. I saw this video. You probably saw this commercial where they had like older girls and like maybe teenagers, and they said, throw like a girl.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You remember that
Yeah.
commercial? And you said, hit like a girl.
Yeah.
Then they asked these little kids,
Mm-hmm.
run like a girl, and you saw them run. Throw like a girl, and you saw them throw. So we're not born this way, right? It's what happens. And the thing about women, which is interesting, this one brain researcher, God, who was it? Maybe it was in the book Brain Rules many years ago. He talked about watching his like two sons, and they were playing. One had a ball, and they said, I'm going to throw this up to that branch. And the other kid says, well, I'm going to throw it to the top of the tree. And he throws the ball. Well, I'm going to throw it to the, to the clouds. Well, I'm going to throw it to the sun. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. He says, and then you have two little girls. And one says, I'm going to throw this up to that branch. And the other one says, me too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like what starts to happen is that natural, the tendency to tend and befriend is a strategy that women have, when threatened, right?
Yeah, to stay safe.
That's the way to stay safe, tend and befriend. That gets beaten out of us, right? Through this conditioning, this priming, just by living in this patriarchal society. And what starts to happen is we don't even realize how we contribute to it. I was listening to someone say, you're the prettiest little girl. You're the cutest little girl. And I thought, it starts there.
It does.
Yeah.
Why do you have to say prettiest?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have to include some type of competition?
Or pretty at all? Why does it have to be about what she looks like?
Oh, please. But that's, yes, of course. We start that competition.
We do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes, through priming, what society deems is attractive, what society deems is, sexy, what society deems success looks like, right? And of course, living in this fucking patriarchy, who is the society that is deeming those things? Now that we know the people that run the magazines, the people that own the fucking modeling agencies.
Yep, we're supposed to look like little girls.
That's right.
I mean, and we have been trying to look like little girls for, at least I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
My whole goal for most of my life was to get skinnier and smaller, and skinnier and smaller, and skinnier and smaller.
Much easier to control.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah. So
now you have to understand there was a time when society didn't necessarily deem that. You look at Marilyn Monroe, you know what her dress size was? I think it was like an 8.
It was like a 10.
No.
It wasn't? No, it was oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And
yeah, it was like
good.
a 16. Of course she looked good. She's fucking gorgeous. But at the time, that was what society deemed.
Yeah. Well, and at one point in society, though, Rubenesque women,
of course,
were deemed.
Could we just get back there?
But again,
please.
Changes depending on what
who's in power
deem attractive.
Right. I was just joking. We don't really want that.
Of course.
So,
so there's this priming. There's this constant depiction. There's this constant competition. There's this constant, oh, he's just a boy, or he's pulling your hair, it means he likes you. Or, all of these fucking messages that, look, you're rolling your eyes. We all have it. We've all have it. Boys will be boys.
Yep.
And so once you understand how millions of bits of information gets in without our conscious analysis, without us judging whether this is worth our, time or not, whether we want to believe this belief or not,
whether it's true or not.
Yeah, we don't, of course, because it never goes through the conscious filter.
Yep.
Right.
Which is why when I work with people, that's kind of what I'm doing, right? I'm like, let's go deep. Let's go to where we can examine some of these primes, some of these beliefs, our hierarchy of values, so that we start to realign who we are and our identity as it relates to us and what we want and what we dream. And we start to really examine, because, look, we all have it in us. Now, I have spent years playing in and out of altered states. I have a little bit more access because I practice self-hypnosis. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little bit more in cahoots with some of what's going on under the hood. And if any of your listeners want, I have a free, like, rapid self-hypnosis. It's kind of like self-hypnosis, New York style. If you can commit to a minute a day, you can do it. And it's free if they want. That's available. Because just to start getting yourself a little bit more used to examining some of your internalized shit.
Yeah.
Don't think it's not there. Some people will say, but I grew up with, leftists, well, so did I. Okay. But you're still looking at magazines and TV. You're still in school. And at a certain point, the biggest influence is not your parents and your family. It's your peers.
Man, this lines up so well with why the right hates woke and tries to make that such a negative thing, because what you're really doing is you're waking the fuck up and you're actually thinking about things from a different perspective. You're not just accepting all of the things that you're spoon-fed your entire life. You're actually taking some time to stop and think about things and think critically about stuff that you have just taken for granted because that's the water we swim in. That is one of the reasons, maybe the main reason, why the right hates woke so much, because they're like, oh shit, people are actually thinking for themselves instead of just swallowing hook, line, and sinker all the shit that we're telling people.
I don't think they even think about it to that.
And it depends.
I think some of them do, though.
It depends what faction, right? Because
that's fair.
Because of how it's been portrayed. They hate woke for what they believe it represents, right? All them gays and trans and all them,
and people of color having rights and
oh my God,
how dare they?
And then women speaking their minds and making their own decisions.
And they want us to all be gay, and they want us to all be this. It's always a threat, and now that goes back to their brain. And what is going to cause that cognitive dissonance? If they actually had to check themselves, if they have to realize, and I mean, there's so many layers to this woke identity that they have now tried to expand out to include anyone who happens to care about the planet or the food they're eating or the air they're breathing, the water they're fucking drinking. All of a sudden, you want your child to not get cancer from the water. You're thinking that's woke.
You crazy woke people.
Yeah.
So it has expanded and expanded so that it loses, right? You have that side, but then you have the more manipulative side that doesn't like woke, right? You've got the billionaire class, and you've got the people in charge that are calling the shots because they don't want that type of critical thinking. We need to be just consumers, and we need to be easily manipulated. And once you are educated, once you're hip to what the fuck they're doing, well, then you might just start regulating shit.
You
Yeah.
might
You might
stop
just
purchasing.
think, wait a minute, the economics of this thing you're doing really doesn't pan out. I think
you
pay
might
some
stop
taxes.
you might stop just entertaining us. Athletes, shut up and dribble. Shut up and just play football. Don't take a
That's
knee
right.
and make me think about shit.
That's
And then,
right.
and this ties into what I wanted to ask you about, Melissa. It also ties into, let me just go on this app and scroll through and see this page and only see what she is supposed to be talking about. She's supposed to just be talking about her business now. She's talking about politics. Why the fuck? I would love to hear, because you've talked about this in some of your videos about how on Instagram people are like, why the fuck are you talking about this? This isn't a political, you're supposed to be talking about your business.
It started like last year when I started to like, okay, well, let's just see, because if I have to do something, if I have to be on like social media, I'm going to get curious about it and I'm going to experiment, which is the only way that I keep an interest in anything. Otherwise, it's fucking boring. So I'm like, all right, well, so let me see what making these videos and it was a challenge to myself to, can I take this? Initially, it was, research or study. Can I take this thing, this lesson, and can I teach it in under 2 minutes? Because Instagram doesn't like above 2 minutes. So all of a sudden, it became a challenge to myself. And I mean, that in and of itself is like what I could talk about for a long time about what I've learned about, the economy of language. And how to, and I was just telling one of my students today, other video, and they're like, hey everyone, I hope everyone's doing well today. I was thinking about this thing, and I'm like, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone already.
Yeah.
You buried the lead. Like the thing you're thinking about, put that up top.
Yeah.
Because in this Twitter fucking world, nobody's got the time to sit there listening to that long-winded, hey, everybody, how's it going, da-da-da, unless you are already someone who millions of people want to hear what you have to say. And we will put up with that. Like some of the people that I follow are so long-winded. And I only think that now that I've trained myself to not be. Now I'm all of a sudden very critical of that. Like, dude, come on. This could have been 3 minutes.
Yeah, you could have got it in under the 30-second mark.
Come on. Right away, people started, because when I started to get angry and really alert people, because I knew what was coming a little sooner than most, simply because, God, I know Trump. I know these. I knew what they were going for. I've had conversations with people that know. There's a few different types of people. There's the well-meaning, woo-woo spiritual side, because like hypnosis covers a broad range.
Sure.
Right? Everything from past life regression to clinical hypnosis for pain management. This is a broad range with a lot of people in there. And so when you get to the rainbow side, right, to the like unicorn side, they are like, it's a lot of low vibrational energy, putting so much anger out into the world.
And fear. Fear's low vibration too.
Yeah. You're putting so much anger and rage and fear out there, and I really feel like we need to like spread light and raise everyone's vibration. So they're saying it like it's for my own good, but really it's for them. Right? They're like, and I watch your stuff and I'm a fan of all your books, but like I watch your stuff and it just feels like I'm getting such low vibe. I'm like, then don't watch my shit. Exactly what I said. Don't watch my shit.
Yep.
Shove your fucking head back in the sand under your fucking yoga mat.
Oh God, I think I love you.
And then you will do nothing while the world burns. We don't need that type of fucking fragility.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring light, right? And we all need it. We
bring
all
a torch.
Right. Well, and some spine to go with it.
But that's just it. If you are so easily thrown off your high vibration, then you're far too fragile for what's coming. Yeah. And I suggest you shore up your fucking, love and light shit. Seriously, because we do need it. I'm not saying we don't. But there's been a lot of flack right now. Thank God it's starting to turn
Mhm.
of people that have a big following and are not speaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
At this
Yep.
point, and I've been saying this now for a year, your silence is complicity.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be, I mean, I was very politically active from, you know, long before I could vote, right? So
Mhm.
I remember my ACT UP shirts, right? Silence equals death. I
Yep.
had that t-shirt I probably still have that t-shirt somewhere, you know? And so this is the time. This is the time that you need to. So I get the spiritual stuff of like, it's low vibration. Then I get the like, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, stay in my lane?
Yep.
Well, my lane is the mind, and people are getting mind fucked right now. My lane is mental health, and we're all having daily fucking trauma.
Oh, yes, we
Girl.
are. Yes, we
Girl, yes, we are.
are.
My
Lord
lane is
Jesus.
humanity,
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
and my
Thank
lane
you.
is a change worker. And
Yeah.
goddamn, some shit's got to change. I am in my fucking lane. Fuck you. Get out of
Yes.
my lane. I'll run you the fuck over.
Thank you.
So I get that. And then, as I said earlier, just the people that are just shut up, just
Yeah.
please shut up. All those people from the right, as I said, they need to narrow the bandwidth of what
Mhm.
they will allow in. That's why it's
Mhm.
just Fox News, man. Everything else is fake news.
Yep.
Fake
Yep.
news.
Yep.
Everything else is a hoax. It's this.
Yep.
You know, and this is the way that, you know, the mind fuck starts, right? By making people doubt science. Climate change is a hoax.
Yeah.
So doubt their academics, you know, so doubt smart people and
Yep.
education.
Mhm.
Doubt the news, fake news. Once you can start to whittle away any of the influence that might get in and counter the message that they want,
Mhm.
that Trump wants his supporters. I mean, the fact that he can just stand there and lie where 2 seconds of a Google search and you can see the
Mhm.
lies.
Mhm.
Just literally in real time,
Yeah.
fact checking.
Mhm.
They won't do that in the same way that Scientologists won't fucking do the research to see who started Scientology. Just like Christians won't
We're
do a
there
little
with
bit
you.
of research to actually look at maybe what Jesus really said, if
Mhm.
Jesus really said anything at all, or who
Yeah.
Jesus really was and what he was really about with
Mhm.
overturning the things, you know, the tables in the church and no
Yeah.
money in the church. How does that sit with the evangelicals?
Yeah.
Or to
Girl.
actually look a little deeper
Mhm.
and see what your Christian myth is based on.
Yeah.
And the long form, where you
Mhm.
start to look at, oh, Mithras, yeah, born December 25th of a virgin, had 12 brothers. Oh, wait, this one, Aton, yeah, born December 25th, had 12 disciples. Yeah, they died in 3 days. You know all
Mhm.
that, right? That
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
about 7 or 8 of them before this one.
Mhm.
And they were all
Mhm.
about the sun god, because they were all talking about the stars and
Right.
the 12 signs of the zodiac and the
Or to even
solstice.
look at the version of the Bible, like the King James
Oh
version.
my
Why
God.
is
We
there a
could
King
go
James
anyway.
version?
We're going
Let's learn
like
the history
we
about
could
that.
talk about all of this
Okay,
stuff.
well,
Like,
I
it
have
is
a
interesting.
I have a really important question.
Yes.
Maybe it's not that important, but it's been. It seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong, that your work and many people who do similar work, or not even so similar, but they're working with populations. Is it the people on the left that are your clientele, that are getting more in touch with their
Of course.
unconscious mind?
Of
And
course.
are there, what do we
Okay.
do with the people on the right who don't
Yeah,
do
how do
any
we get them
who don't
to
get any
examine their
self-reflection or trying to figure out their conditioning, or trying to
Well,
look
good
at
question.
the myth of Christianity, and
Yeah.
these people aren't getting any sort of self-help or
You know,
help.
the fringe aren't. Okay, the fringe aren't. I've had enough people that pre-Trump would call themselves moderate or even Republican, on some level.
But they would come to you?
Yeah, not
Okay.
as much, obviously. I mean, I for a while was having like all these Orthodox Jewish people coming to me because I
Oh,
helped
wow.
one, and then all of a sudden that's a community and word spreads. You know, I go through like phases, right? All of a sudden I was seeing all these operas. All of a sudden I was seeing all these act. All of a sudden, why? Because one tells another, tells another. But I will say this to answer your question, because I've been thinking about this, right? That's why I tried to understand them. That's why I started looking, what the brain, the this,
what do we
that.
do?
Why priming? Now, there's a really good book by this author who wrote the book, You Are Not So Smart. Oh my God, such a brilliant book. I seriously get it. You will love it. It's just, trust me. He wrote a book on, I think it's called like How to Change Minds. And it's really good. And when I'm not so full of rage and resentment, then things like having conversations with people where you really do actually listen and find that common ground. And I know there's people that do that. You know, I'm thinking of that one African American man who like went to the Ku Klux Klan, and actually sat down and had conversations with them. Like that kind of one-on-one work is vital and important. And if you read the book by this guy, David McCready, I think it's called How to Change Minds or How Minds Change, or anyway, you'll see a bunch of strategies there. But if you're asking me now, where we are now, how do we reach those people? I say we don't.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
That's me at this point where I am.
Yeah.
If they can still see the concentration camps in this country, if they can still applaud families being torn apart, children, if they can still support the global ring of pedophiles that they all were screaming about when they thought it was the Democrats.
Yeah.
And now we know who started those QAnon fucking conspiracies. That was all the Epstein crew. And that was so brilliant. Talk about manipulation, how brilliant that move was. Because once they get us to think that that is all crazy coming from QAnon craziness, it's easy to fucking dismiss. It's hiding in plain sight. They hid the shit in plain sight. And it is the same thing that happens when you can easily pass something off. So that is why I get really angry when I see people posting like AI generated Epstein files. I'm like, we don't need to do that.
No.
You can make it so that they dismiss the whole lot because they're looking for that. They're now searching for some way to make it not true.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they were to acknowledge that their man and his regime were actually a part of the very ring that this man said he was going to come down on if you elected him, then they would have so much cognitive dissonance, they couldn't fucking handle it. So at this point, if they still support them, I say, fuck you and fuck you to hell. And I wish I was religious because I really wish there was a hell. It's so funny. I wrote a song. A rage song the other day when I was just trying to get it out of my system, and it really was like fire and brimstone style, you know. I was like, oh. And I just regress to like the 13-year-old me, you know, like it's very Seussian. I'm like the cat in the fucking hat when it comes to like lyrics. Anyway, but it felt good to get it out. But it was essentially, fuck you. You are beyond help. I'm sorry. If you still support this motherfucker, you need help. And it ain't going to come from me. And when I say help, like you need to be fucking, like no one should be leaving their children with anyone that still supports.
Agreed.
There's some serious deprogramming that needs to happen.
No one should be leaving their children with anyone that still supports this crew of pedophiles. Because if that is not a deal breaker,
what the hell would be a...
And I know that's harsh, and I'm harsh right now.
I don't think it is.
Literally, I used to joke that I had zero tolerance for intolerance. I used to joke about that. But now I have reached the point where I am not trying to reach them. I have this conversation with my sister. My sister is so much more left wing than me. She is a musician and a political poet, and she's fucking brilliant. But god damn, she's 100 times better than me when it comes to her heart, because she keeps saying, you got to reach the, leave the door open a little for the goodness that I'm like, there is no goodness. And I am a fucking lefty vegan, okay? I don't believe in guns. I don't believe in the death penalty. And all of a sudden, I have to look at my sister and say, I don't think you understand how different we are here.
Mm-hmm.
You still see the good in people.
And I hear what you're saying. And there are those who voted for Trump and support all of that, who are dyed in the wool. They will never go against the man, who would say something very, very similar about Black people, brown people, Asian people.
I know.
Gay people, trans people. I mean, just
right.
name. I
Even
mean,
women.
you and children even. I mean, you saw it, and people forget this, but you saw it in the civil rights movement when, I mean, hell, we've all seen the pictures. Ruby Bridges, she was a child. She's what, 6 years old? Just here she was with her books, trying to go into school, just trying to get a fucking education. The National Guard had to be called out to protect a little girl as she's going into school.
And the
and
looks
there were
on people's faces. Yeah,
there
all
were
of the
throngs of people.
You're right. And what you just said, I mean, it brings it all like very viscerally home, that you take a whole swath of people. It's just that, honestly, what you're talking about when you say they could say it about Black people or this people or this people, that is something that those people cannot change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is a series of choices that these people have made to celebrate cruelty in all of its forms.
Yeah.
The murder of children. And I don't think I can give them any grace at all. Now, as I said, if they still support him, I keep prefacing it with that, because at this point, yeah.
I do think some people are waking up, though. So I'm sorry, Jennifer. I know you were about to say we're out of time.
We're out of time. Final thoughts. Everybody take a moment for final thoughts.
So final thoughts. I feel like we have just kind of went all around the world right here. I hope that the main key message here, as far as my perspective on decentering men, is to understand our priming, to understand that even though we don't think of ourselves as being influenced by the patriarchy, there's no way in hell you're not.
Yeah.
Because it is the very water that we swim in, and that to examine it is the first step to really starting to look and to understand who sets the beauty standards, and to just say no. Like, just say no, seriously. And when you do, there is a freedom there that is unlike almost anything that you can offer someone. That freedom of all of a sudden disengaging from the whole cycle. As you said, Jennifer, you were like, I was always trying to be skinny. I was always trying to be this. When all of a sudden you're like, you know what? For who? Fuck you. I like who I am.
It changes everything.
My family, they love me. I don't have to change the way I look. And that is probably the most freeing feeling. So try it on. You don't have to jump in all the way, but certainly try it on. Try it a little bit at a time and see what happens. Because, I have these conversations. Okay, we're out of time, but I feel like we should have talked a little bit more about like decentering men and how it shows up when women are arguing with other women about why they choose what they choose.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're wearing these heels. You just told me your feet are killing you. So why are you wearing the heels? For me, because they're sexy. Why do you think they're sexy? Well, because it makes my legs and my, and my ass look a little better. Why do you think that looks better and makes you feel sexy? Right? So they'll argue that it's for them. I dress this way for me. It's not for men. It's like, don't you see? If when you are sitting around watching Netflix, you sit in that skin tight dress and those heels, then I'll believe you that it's what you love to be in. But even then, that's been influenced by what you have been shaped. But the other thing is, like, we didn't get a chance to talk to porn and how that influences each, right? Like, my generation didn't have readily accessible. They had to actually brave it and go to a store and buy the shit. So that meant very few people were actually seeing that. So, how that plays into how we feel about ourselves and what's sexy.
Yeah.
Like when you truly are decentered, you think what's sexy is very different, because then it's about what feels sexy.
Yeah.
And then it's about like, oh, I wear this nightgown because it's made of this bamboo and it feels silky against my skin.
Yeah.
That's sexy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's a turning, and I think it happens through self-analysis and then self-expression. I also think, oh my God, this is a big deal that I wanted to say. I believe, like, decentering men, you can look at it as these circles. It's an inside job. Decentering men is an inside job first, but then you expand your circle and then expand it out, and then it becomes your system, then your friends and family, and then your community, and then womankind, and you branch it out. So decentering, men is all well and good, because if we have more women that are doing the work, then we have more of a force of women. But I also am so sick of the individualistic stressor on, like, optimize yourself and be better. And, we live in community. And if we don't take that into consideration and take decentering men as a fucking community, as a nation, God damn it, as a world, and see it as these concentric circles.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Well said.
Yeah.
All right, good. This was fun.
Yeah.
It was.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
I
Pleasure.
You've true to form, you have given us a lot to think about. and I love that, in person, you are as you are on your videos. You say what needs to be said. So thank you for being
I'm just
authentically
like,
you.
I'm me, whether I'm like, no matter where, because otherwise it's too much work. And I just don't have
It
time.
is.
I got other shit to worry about, man. We got a fucking revolution to incite.
Yep. Very true.
I like
right.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with me.
Absolutely.
So, Raquel, you want to do a wrap up?
I do. Melissa brings up so many good points, and we could have like a whole other hour just talking about all the good points that she brought up. But the one thing that I take away from this, one of many, because I don't want to discount anything else that she said, but one thing that I take away from this, and we've talked about this on the show before in other situations, is take the time to think about what you believe and why you believe it. Like, do some self-investigation, some self-examination. Why do you believe what you believe? Where did that belief come from? Are you just believing it because that's what your mom and dad believed, or because your family believes it, or do you really feel that way? And if you do really feel that way, why? Like what is that getting you? Like, what's the benefit of, like, if you've always grown up where somebody is like, hate on this person, hate on that group, hate on this, what is that getting you? What benefit are you getting from that? Like, just take some time to think that shit through.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm feeling slightly overwhelmed by that whole discussion, but I
Okay.
think it's because our world is fucking overwhelming right now.
Yep,
There's
it is indeed.
the original video that she did where the first thing she said was 13 and 14-year-olds are not sexy. And if you think they are, you have a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And then got into the whole discussion of decentering men. But I still go back to that very first statement. I have struggled with that kind of conversation with men most of my adult life. Maybe they didn't outwardly say that they thought 13 and 14-year-olds were attractive, but just, and maybe they did, I remember having a discussion with someone I was dating about girls in their prom dresses and how the girls were trying to look sexy. And I'm like, I don't think you understand girls. I think they're trying to be princesses no, this person was just consumed with the idea of, no, they're trying to be sexy. And I'm like, I don't think so. But even if they were, there's something fundamentally, and it is this priming, this conditioning. There's something fundamentally just off and askew.
Grooming?
In the grooming, and there's just something fundamentally wrong in our culture where I'm not going to say hashtag all men, but fucking a lot of them, a lot of men finding a lot of children sexually attractive.
Yeah. Or childlike qualities. Like,
I think they're outright
not being shaped like an actual full-ass, grown-ass woman.
How about the fact that we shave our bodies?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we shave our bodies. So what? Yeah. So we can look prepubescent?
Yeah.
Right? We could get into a whole thing there. But my beef is, after my divorce, I dated a lot of dudes. We've talked about this before. We haven't talked about it in a while. But I would say not every single one of them, but the majority of them had those feelings about young women. They were always looking at women. Actually, they were always looking at children in ways that they shouldn't. And I think it's just, if you look around us, we're being primed for it.
Oh yeah,
we're being primed. And I've not used that word before. I've always called it conditioning before today. But now I see that it's just even for young boys, the beginning of their masculinization process, the beginning of them becoming men, is to deny some of their humanity. And then to talk about what was so interesting hearing Melissa talk about the way the people on the right, their brain,
conservatives,
conservatives versus the people on the left, and some of that is kind of what the men were telling me. They were like, I'm primal. This is my brain. And like, I didn't want to believe that was true. I was like, you got to be a little more complicated than that, don't you? Like, you got to have something else going on in there, don't you?
You would hope, but no.
And it's really sad to find out that maybe they don't. And maybe there is an evolution of the human brain. Maybe they are more in a primal brain, and hopefully we're leaving that shit behind. Hopefully we're evolving out of that. But I don't know. The whole conversation, it's a great conversation. She's so brilliant. She's so smart. I love the idea of hypnosis in the same way that we've been talking about working with psychedelics or holotropic breath work. All these things are super important to get into our psyche and find out why we're driven. Unfortunately,
self-examination.
Unfortunately, what came up for me today is I think everyone should do it, but the people who really need to do it aren't doing it.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us?
Okay, this is my Pollyanna side about to come out. Oh Lord. But
Good, because I could use some Pollyanna. Give me some Pollyanna, Raquel.
Okay. In some ways, I have to think this because this keeps me from just, walking slowly into the ocean. That the people hear it when they need to hear it. And maybe the people that really need to hear this aren't our listeners yet. But somebody who is listening will say something in the vicinity of one of those people. And then somebody else will say something similar. So it's like chink, chink, like click, 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 like breaking down the armor.
I'm not sure I believe that anymore.
Okay, again, Pollyanna, and like I said, I choose to believe this so that I don't go and like walk slowly into the ocean.
Okay, I'll stop trying to get rid of your belief then.
No. It's totally fine. I get it. And trust me, I'm not as Pollyanna as some, and I'm not as Pollyanna as I used to be in some ways. Some ways I'm more so. But for the people who will hear it, it'll get in. But it's not going to come from one. I mean, for some people, yeah, one conversation will do it. Sure, there are those people. But there are others that it will take a little longer. It's like, for some people, we're playing the long game. And I know that feels really, really frightening because in some ways it's like, we don't have any time left. We don't have a choice. Some people are just going to take longer to hear it. But my hope is that they hear it before we run out of time. And I have to hold on to the hope that they will hear it before we run out of time. Because if I don't, then why the fuck are we even trying with anything else we're doing? Because it's not going to help. And I'm sorry, I don't want to live that way. I can't live that way. I have to still believe that what we are doing, what you and I are doing, what Melissa's doing, what all the people that we have on our show are doing, the people that listen, what they're doing, I have to believe that it's doing some good and that it is for good. We just talked about Parable of the Sower. If Lauren didn't believe that Earthseed and community were possible in that hellscape, then, she wouldn't do it. And then they would all just lay down and die and go, okay, let me just walk into the fire. We can't live that way. There have to be the people who still believe that the work that we're doing is good and possible and helpful and useful. We have to still live that way. That's why we have to hold on to hope in some way. There. We have to.
Okay, I have one more question.
Okay.
What if you just stopped centering men?
Oh, girl, I stopped centering men a long time ago. And I don't know if
I didn't mean for you to actually answer it.
Oh, okay. Well, I stopped that a long time
ago. Bye, Raquel.
Bye, Jennifer. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend.
Or you could leave us a comment and a 5-star review, or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks, everybody.